I didn't realize I was losing her until the day I stopped trying to impress her, and she finally looked at me differently. That moment didn't feel dramatic. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't even a conversation. It was just a quiet pause where something shifted and I couldn't explain why. For the longest time, I thought I knew how relationships worked. You show up, you try hard, you say the right things, you do what you're supposed to do. That's what I believed. And honestly, I thought I was doing it right. I met her during a pretty normal phase of my life. Work, gym, occasional weekends out, nothing exciting, nothing terrible, just routine. She wasn't loud or attention grabbing. That's probably what made me notice her. There was something calm about her. Not distant, just not trying. The first few conversations were easy, no pressure, no expectations. But somewhere along the way, something in me shifted. I started caring a little more about what she thought, then a little more. Then suddenly, I was analyzing everything. What I said, how I said it, how long I waited to text back, whether I sounded confident or awkward. I remember thinking, don't mess this up. And that's where it started. At first, it didn't feel like a problem. It felt like effort. I'd plan things more carefully, choose the right words, avoid saying anything that might push her away. I thought I was being thoughtful, but looking back now, I wasn't being thoughtful. I was being careful. There's a difference, and I didn't see it. The strange part is, nothing was obviously wrong. We still talked, still met, still laughed. But there was this quiet tension underneath everything, like I was slightly off balance all the time. I remember one evening in particular. We were sitting across from each other at a small cafe. Nothing fancy, just a normal place. She was telling me about her week, and I was listening, but not really. Because in my head, I was thinking, am I reacting the right way? Should I say something smarter here? Do I sound interesting enough? I wasn't present. I was performing, and I didn't even realize it. That's when the small inconsistencies started showing up. Not from her, from me. I'd agree with things I didn't fully agree with, laugh at jokes that weren't that funny, hold back opinions that felt too honest. It wasn't fake, but it wasn't real either. And somehow she could feel that, even if she never said it directly. Her reactions became subtle, hard to explain. She didn't pull away completely, she didn't get distant, but something softened in the wrong way. Less curiosity, less engagement. Like she was slowly losing interest, but not enough to make it obvious. That's what confused me the most, because on the surface, everything still looked okay. I remember going home one night, sitting in my car for a few minutes before going inside, just thinking, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. And my first instinct was the same as most guys. Maybe I need to try harder. So that's what I did. I put in more effort, more thoughtful messages, more attention, more planning. And for a moment, it felt like things improved. But it didn't last, because the problem wasn't effort. It was something deeper. The turning point didn't come from a big event. It came from something small, almost forgettable. We were walking through a park, quiet afternoon, no rush. She asked me a simple question. Do you actually like that? She was pointing at something I had just agreed with. And for a second, I didn't answer, because the honest answer was no. But I had already said yes, so I just shrugged and said, yeah, it's fine. She didn't argue, she didn't correct me, she just nodded slightly and changed the subject. But something about that moment stayed with me, because I realized she knew. She knew I wasn't being real. And worse, I knew it too. That night, I thought about every conversation we had. Every moment I adjusted myself just a little to fit what I thought she wanted. And for the first time, I asked a different question. Not how do I impress her, but why am I not just being myself? The answer wasn't complicated. I was afraid. Afraid that if I showed my real thoughts, my real opinions, my real personality, it wouldn't be enough. So I replaced it with something safer, something polished, something acceptable. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't building a connection. I was building an image. And she wasn't connecting with me. She was interacting with that image. No wonder it felt off. The next time we met, I didn't make a big decision. I didn't tell myself, be confident or be different. I just stopped doing one thing. I stopped filtering everything. That was it. At first, it felt uncomfortable, like I was stepping into a version of myself I hadn't shown in a while. She said something, and instead of agreeing automatically, I paused. Then I said what I actually thought. Not aggressively, not defensively, just honestly. And there was this brief moment of silence. Not awkward, just different. She looked at me like she was trying to figure something out. Then she smiled slightly. Not bigger, not louder, just more real. That moment changed everything. Not instantly, but gradually. Because once I stopped trying to control her perception, I started showing up differently. More relaxed, more present, less calculated. I wasn't trying to win her over anymore. I was just there. And something unexpected happened. She leaned in more, not physically, but emotionally. She started asking more questions, challenging me more, laughing more naturally, even disagreeing more. And strangely, it felt better, more alive, more honest. That's when I understood something most men miss. It's not about they're looking for perfection. It's not that they're looking for someone who's always saying the right thing. What they respond to is something much simpler: realness. But not the kind people talk about casually, not just be yourself in a vague way. I mean real, unfiltered presence, where you're not trying to control how you're perceived every second, where you're okay with being slightly imperfect in front of someone. Because here's the hidden truth I didn't see before. When you're constantly trying to impress, you create distance, not connection. Because people can feel when something is being managed, even if they can't explain it. Most men think they're doing the right thing, being agreeable, being careful, avoiding mistakes, trying to say the right things. But what they don't realize is that that effort often removes the very thing that creates attraction: authenticity. And the irony is, the moment you stop trying so hard to be liked, you become easier to connect with. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped hiding it. Looking back now, I don't think she suddenly started liking me more. I think she finally started seeing me, the real version, not the polished one I thought she wanted. And it made me question something bigger. How many times had I done this before? In other relationships, other interactions? How often had I filtered? Had I adjusted? Had I performed? Because it's not just about relationships, it's about how we show up in life, at work, with friends, even with ourselves. We filter, we adjust, we perform. And over time, we forget what it feels like to just be real. The strange thing is, being real isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it creates tension. Sometimes it leads to disagreement. Sometimes it exposes parts of you that aren't perfect. But it also creates something most people are quietly looking for: genuine connection. That's the part no one talks about. It's not about saying the perfect thing, it's about saying the honest thing in a grounded way. It's not about being impressive, it's about being present. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Not just with her, but with everyone. Things didn't turn into some perfect relationship after that. We still had differences, still had moments of miscommunication, but the dynamic changed because I wasn't trying to control every outcome anymore. I was just participating, fully. And that made everything feel lighter, more natural, less exhausting. Sometimes I think about that version of me sitting in the car trying to figure out what he was doing wrong. He thought the answer was more effort,
more strategy, more control. But it wasn't. It was less. Less filtering, less pretending, less trying to be someone else. And maybe that's the real shift. Not becoming more, but removing what was never real to begin with. Because at the end of the day, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with truth, even when it's quiet, even when it's imperfect. And if there's one question that stayed with me after all of this, it's this. How different would your relationships feel if you stopped trying to be liked and just allowed yourself to be seen?